in today's video, I just want to quickly talk about customer onboarding because it's something we have a lot of fun with most days in my managed services company. There's a lot of discussion, information, things happening. I'm going to talk about company onboarding first because when you take on new customers, that is the opportunity you have to set the ground rules, figure out what information you need, what things need to be fixed, what things are a problem. So I thought it might be interesting just to kind of share how I work with the process on this. And I hope that's useful. You can apply some of this to your business. That's kind of the point. If you haven't met me before, I'm Dave. I help business leaders to use tech more effectively. But today's process is really about how we build our relationships with our customers from the get-go and make sure that they work. It's just a quick blog video, so we're not going to go into too much technicalities, I suppose, just kind of the overview. So the first thing that I like to do is when we've got something new that we're taking on is get the documentation right. So that includes things like photos, figuring out the organizational structure, who takes responsibility for different things, figuring out what systems, processes and methods exist at the moment. Then, once we've got that, we want to look at our minimum specifications and standards and see where the gaps are. And then we want to document that. So if we find messy network cabinets, like people running Windows XP or Windows 10, if we find people with really inefficient workflows, we want to document that. And then we'll build out a plan over time to mitigate those risks, fix those problems. Because if you don't specify this at the start, people think that it's completely acceptable that people use the things that they've got ready, whereas you want to be very clear, no, this isn't acceptable. This is outside the scope of what we work with. We need to get it fixed. And as I say, some of those things are going to take 5 minutes. Some of them are going to take 2 years. We want to make sure we've documented relationships with vendors, security analysis, all sorts of things. There's so many things on our onboarding list. And here's a list, it's a checklist that we work through each time. I think a lot of people think you can skip over this, especially the human part. It's really important, especially in family businesses. I work with quite a few family businesses. If you don't document the process, what's happening, who's in control, where the decision makers are, what the decision making process is, what the change management process is, it's very, very, very hard to figure out how things work. So part of the onboarding process is to get that stuff documented, but documented in a living document. We have a document management system. You can do it in SharePoint easily enough, and AI can help with this as well. But the point is we want to build out a really strong set of documents that's not just waffle, but really clear, really concise, that really help us start on the right track. When staff join the organisation, the same process. We go through, we document who they are, what they're going to be doing, what's important, their contact details, make sure they've got access to systems they need access to, not the ones they don't need access to, speak to them, make sure they're up and running. And going through this process every time we do it builds our relationships, builds the quality of the work that we do. And I strongly recommend if you're not doing that, you formalise the process. And then when AI comes and wants to help you, you'll have a formal process and you can use AI to help. Any thoughts, comments, let me know. Do reach out to me and I hope you have a great day. Speak to you soon.